Do you ever wonder what a Best Picture nominee directed by an Aries looks like? Welcome to Oscarstrology, where I'll be counting down to the Oscars by analyzing each Best Picture nominee based on the director's zodiac signs. We're gonna do this in astrological order, so I'm gonna start with Chloe Zhao, who is an Aries, and she directed Hamnet. Spoilers ahead. Hamnet, based on the book with the same name, tells the story of William Shakespeare and his wife Agnes, as they both deal with immense grief after losing their only son. So, how does Hamnet exude Aries energy? First of all, Zhao's style is known to revolve around human connection and realism, which is embodied in Hamnet. This channels Aries because Aries are the most straightforward, it is what it is sign to ever exist. Meaning, not only do they have a very literal perception of life, but also a simple way of expressing so. Hence, Zhao's overtly realistic approach to filmmaking, blurring the lines between fiction and documentary. This reminded me of other Aries directors I've dissected before, Andrea Arnold and Charles Burnett in specific. In fact, Zhao was even inspired by Arnold's down-to-earth rendition of Wuthering Heights, focusing on the quiet everyday of the characters versus the obvious dramatic beats. Zhao is what I'd like to call a zoned-out director, and that to me is very Aries. You guys are either zoned out, overtly passionate about something, or angry and moody. You never know what you're gonna get with Aries, but you're gonna get something, alright? And I'm also a cardinal sign, so I'm not really judging you guys. But I'm also kind of threatened, so that's why I'm saying that. Some may find this style refreshing as it allowed the emotional moments of Hamnet to stand on their own, especially because Zhao never shied away from showing the most painstaking aspects of grief and the literal loudness that comes with it. While others found it too obvious, too cheesy, the film even ends with what is considered one of the most overplayed songs in cinema, Nature in Daylight, accusing everything of being not only too in your face, but also cold and distant. This is the strength and weakness of an Aries. They can be so literal and righteous that it can be a bit boring, but in such a chaotic world, it can also be very pure and endearing. I also have to give Chloe Zhao a big shout out because she's the first Asian woman to be nominated and win the Best Director Academy Award. And she's also the first woman of color to ever be nominated and win in that category. Aries are the pioneers and trailblazers of the Zodiac Wheel, so her opening this door for other women in the film industry is just what an Aries does. Today's director is going to be Joseph Kosinski, who directed F1, and he's a Taurus. Now, F1 is the feel-good summer movie of the year, and Joseph Kosinski is no stranger to this. Like Maverick, F1 is praised for its impeccable technical elements, sound design, and that timeless popcorn blockbuster high it gives its audience. So how does F1 exude Taurus energy? It's a comfort movie. Maybe for the dads, but it's still a comfort movie. A notable Hollywood star for the nostalgia, an undeniable cultural phenomenon, breathtaking action sequences that will get your heart racing, and of course, my GOAT Hans Zimmer's soundtrack. Taurus are the epitome of comfort. They love luxury, indulging, setting boundaries that will maintain their peace, and of course, food. So leave it to a Taurus to deliver these kinds of movies for our generation. But my favorite from him is still Tron. The soundtrack and visuals will live rent-free in my mind forever. While the film's atmosphere is immersive and familiar enough to easily hook us, most agree that Kosinski's films are not the most smart or witty, saying that he would be a full package if he had a fantastic screenwriter. Here is where Tauruses fall short, my friends. Dialogue is not their strong suit. And they would agree. If they don't feel like talking, they are not gonna talk. So you're gonna walk out not remembering a single line from this film, but you will remember the exhilaration of all the vroom vroom in this movie. George Lucas, the ultimate Taurus, comes to mind. Immaculate visuals, world and scope, but Anakin's dialogue still haunts us till this day. Tauruses, you guys don't need a romantic plot, which was the other biggest complaint of F1 by the way. But you guys can't help it, you're ruled by Venus, the planet of love itself. If you want more on how Taurus directors are the masters of comfort film and aesthetics, please check out my full video where I dissect 4 Taurus directors from Sofia Coppola to Wes Anderson. And before I leave, I'm gonna put one more F1 letterbox review that just summarizes Tauruses to the T. Kind of like someone who is super good in bed, but otherwise boring as hell. Cannot wait to see these comments. Today's movie is the most nominated movie of all time. I'm talking 16 nominations, and that is Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler, who is a Gemini. I think Sinners represent Gemini energy so well because they're naturally the sharpest tools in the shed, have endless wit, curiosity, and knowledge. Their aura reminds me of a sporadic child that articulates like a scholar, if that makes any sense. or a straight up jester. And on top of their ability to soak up anything like a sponge, they're also amazing at reading people. Hence, their tendency to switch on you, get bored, or be in a different dimension before you perceive the present one. This movie is just that. It has everything. It thoughtfully conveys the underrepresented communities from American history. It is a horror film with vampires, has exceptional original music, and it is solely original. The ability to seamlessly mix all of this and not overwhelm is Gemini. Sinners is also highly inspired by Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn and The Faculty, who is also a Gemini. Like the rest of Coogler's work, Sinners is centered around often overlooked cultures and characters, most notably African Americans, which is also a Gemini trait. Geminis are the people's people. Their work considers the community and the impact they may have by spotlighting those who don't get the chance. To get an even deeper dive into the Gemini tendency, please check out my full video where I dissect 4 Gemini directors, linked in our bio, and that includes Coogler. Coogler does not just uphold this people's first approach when it comes to his stories, but it also reflects in his team that has been with him since the start of his career. Michael B. Jordan, Ludwig Göransson, Sev Ohanyan, who is also a Gemini by the way, and Autumn Durald Arcapa have been a part of every single film he's made. Geminis love to pick things apart, which makes them very detail-oriented. And if you look into how much research Ryan Coogler did for Sinners, you will understand what I mean. The inclusion of Mississippi Delta Chinese characters is pulled from Coogler's wife Zinzi Evans, who discovered she has heritage through her father's side. The production had real-life identical twin consultants who ensured that the portrayal of Smoke and Stack was done with sincerity. And Dolly Lee, an Asian American journalist and documentary filmmaker, is listed in the film's credits. She played a huge role in the historical accuracy of conveying the Mississippi Chinese Delta immigrants. Before we conclude our analysis for Sinners, I have to acknowledge the most commendable part of Sinners. Besides it being big, bold, and boundary-pushing, it is also a very personal film for Ryan. He was highly inspired by his uncle, James Edmondson, who he had a special bond with since he was a child. Coogler said this film is very much me. I love anything supernatural. I'm in. I like stories about communities, neighborhoods, about archetypes, and I love period anything. So when you layer those things together, that does it for me. Take that from Geminis. Be curious, pull from whatever makes you light up inside, acknowledge the details, and have so much fun while doing everything. Today's nominee is someone most would say should probably have an Oscar by now, but he doesn't. And that is Paul Thomas Anderson, who directed One Battle After Another, who happens to be a Cancer, like me. PTA's films are known for focusing on the past, families, his own experience, and they're also very psychologically heavy and emotional movies. This is all relevant to One Battle After Another because the movie lies on the shoulders of the father and daughter dynamic, as we witness how DiCaprio's Bob Ferguson's revolutionary past comes to haunt both of them. So how is this Cancer, you ask? Well, Cancers rule the 4th house of astrology, which, you guessed it, is associated with home, family, emotional security, and roots. So leave it to a Cancer to make films that involve flawed families with complex psychological dynamics that are also personally relevant. Another PTA attribute is that his characters are usually part of surrogate families and have a lot of trouble accepting themselves. But all these flaws don't take away from the fact that they're very easy to sympathize with. As a Cancer myself, and yes, I'm more Cancer than my sun sign, PTA's ability to write complex, layered, and heavily flawed characters but still make them sympathetic is his crabbiness showing. Because to a toxic level, we're understanding people and we sometimes romanticize highly toxic individuals. We always see potential and we really want to get people to that potential. And that is because we're emotional as heck, naturally nurturing, and layered people. So we can see beyond people's surface level evils. I mean, we're the mothers of the Zodiac. Thank you, Moon, for giving me the ability to tap into any emotion at any given moment. It's a blessing, we swear. But this is also our flaw because we can get so into other people's problems that we start to lose ourselves. It makes us extremely hyper-reactive, and trust me, we're bound to crack, scream, and cry in the midst of it all. Trust me though, you do not want to push a Cancer's empathy limit. Crabs can pinch, and with that cracking also comes our shells, which we can always go back to protect ourselves. This is all embodied in One Battle After Another. Willa has a flawed father figure who isn't really her father, but they overcome these surface level flaws and form a deep bond, which transcends what it means to be a family. Every time a director is inspired by the same zodiac sign, I will make note of it, and in this case, One Battle After Another is inspired by Sidney Lumet, who is also a Cancer. Leave it to a Cancer to give us the most iconic flawed characters of all time, whose emotional turbulence will stay with you long after the film ends. But you definitely will not see that coming at first. Today's nominee is who most would say is the freakiest director of our generation, Yorgos Lanthimos, who directed Bugonia, who happens to be a Libra. Bugonia fits perfectly in Yorgos Lanthimos' cinematic universe. It critiques our society by exploring the nature of power, all within a meticulously surreal atmosphere. So why is this Libra? Lanthimos' urge to capture society through its very odd lens aligns with air sign's natural draw to socializing and observing people. That urge to point our eyes in the direction of society's flaws is also very Libra. Libras are symbolized by scales, meaning they're here to bring balance. They seek peace, justice, and yearn for harmony. So Yorgos being drawn to these themes makes sense because he wants to stir something within us to recognize our flaws. Libras also love getting conversations going to represent opinions and stimulate minds. He even made this comment about how he wants us to feel after we watch his films. Me personally, what I want is to allow people to be engaged actively in watching the film. I like to construct films in a way that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, be able to enjoy them, be intrigued, start to think about the meaning of things, and hopefully by the end of it, you'll have some strong desire to keep thinking about them. Bugonia is here to tell us that our tendency to obsess over non-problems, such as conspiracy theories, capitalism, or corporate jobs, distract us from seeing the bigger picture. Yorgos' ability to craft such eccentric worlds is also a Libra trait. Libras are ruled by Venus, which makes them in tune with beauty and anything aesthetic. This attention to detail is evident in all of his films, including Bugonia, where the production design plays a crucial role in the story. According to James Price, the production design gives away the twist that Michelle Fuller is an alien. It was tricky to navigate, he admitted, but I want it to be obvious, if you're looking at it, that she's an alien. She lives in a spaceship, her office is a spaceship, a kind of modernist sense of spaceship. Whenever any director is inspired by a fellow sign, I'll make note of it, and in this case, Lanthimos is inspired by Robert Bresson, who is also a Libra. At the end of the day, we need eccentrics in the art world to disturb us, make us question our existence, while also captivating us with their peculiar taste. And I commend Libras for being unapologetically that. Clever, meticulously crafted, and weird enough to keep you thinking about it. I'm so excited to discuss one of my favorite directors of all time, who is Guillermo del Toro, and he made Frankenstein. He's also a Libra. Even if you don't f with Guillermo del Toro's movies, you can't deny that he's one of the most lovable people ever. Endlessly passionate about cinema, preaches the importance of animation, is unapologetically a geek, and is loud and proud about hating AI. A perfect human in my eyes. Before we get into the fact that Frankenstein exudes Libra energy, the fact that Guillermo is such a people's person is very Libra. They're everyone's friend and are constantly mingling and flirting their way through life. I mean, half of his IMDb facts are about the cool friends that he has. The last mushy fact I'll say about Del Toro is the fact that he hosts a model painting class with fellow creatives. No wonder the Academy adores this man. Del Toro's Frankenstein is primarily praised for its production design, cinematography, makeup, and of course, amazing costumes. This is nothing new for Guillermo since technical and visual elements have always been his strongest suit. Because Libras are ruled by Venus, they have an endless draw to beauty, and they excel at creating gorgeous atmospheres. They're blessed with immaculate taste, what can I say? But how far did Guillermo push for Frankenstein to be such a visual standout? Victor Frankenstein Laboratory and Captain Anderson's ships were fully constructed sets, and we're still wondering where that ship is right now. Someone who's very personable and has immaculate taste, we get a filmmaker that's involved in every aspect of his filmmaking. Frankenstein embodies another one of Guillermo's traits, which is how much he loves to sympathize with monsters. Even though the creature is not Del Toro's original creation, the director placed the character in a more sympathetic light in this film than most Frankenstein adaptations. The creature is shown as a gentle giant with a mostly normal personality, only using violence in self-defense when he's being physically attacked or threatened. Del Toro's empathetic lens to a now infamous collection of monsters is very Libra-coded. As noted, Libras are ruled by Venus, so they love love. They are the romantics of the Zodiac. No wonder this man's in the trenches for monster times women tropes. He gets it. Because of Libra's diplomatic tendencies, they're also naturally excellent at seeing all sides to people, which is why Guillermo can see the beauty in horror. Do you ever wonder how Guillermo del Toro being a Libra might get in the way of his filmmaking? Well, I'm a fair judge, so let's get into it. Some people find that del Toro's Frankenstein and overall work is too obvious and surface level. One review reads, "It feels like a movie made for people who like to play with toys and go on rides and dress up in costumes, and not really for people who self-pitying despair in their hearts," which in my opinion is more the vibe of this kind of thing. The stripping of complexities also applies to the characters in Frankenstein. Del Toro is so committed to conveying the creature in an empathetic manner that he actually strips him of it by not allowing him to be a truly complicated, challenging being, whereas Victor Frankenstein is too self-absorbed, comically evil, and one-dimensional. Del Toro's Libraness might be an explanation to all this because they're too preoccupied with surface-level beauty that they can miss the other element. This dilutes what makes the gothic. Like, what do you mean the creature in Victor just say kumbaya at the end of it all. I'm not too surprised though if a Libra has trouble conveying complexity because they're so focused on the peace and resolution of everything. Even if I agree and disagree with some of these points, I still think Guillermo del Toro is a perfectly balanced Libra in my eyes. His work has elevated sci-fi and horror, his style is hard not to be compelled by, and he's drawn to people that are often forgotten and overlooked. And just like that, I'm grateful to exist at the same timeline as him. Today I'll be discussing an up-and-coming director who I think all of us should keep our eyes on. And that is Clint Bentley, who directed Train Dreams. And he's a Capricorn. Train Dream captures a time and place that are now long gone, and the people who built a bridge to the future they could only dream of. So what makes Train Dreams Capricorn coded? Capricorns are the universal sign that looks at the world through a philosophical perspective. They are ruled by Saturn, the planet associated with tasks, rules, responsibilities, and perhaps most importantly, time. It's not a coincidence that Capricorns are often called the dads of the Zodiac, because they exude a lot of old man energy. Now let's apply this to the leading character in Train Dreams. Isn't it kind of meta that a Capricorn made a film about a man who is so deep into routine, hard work, and discipline that he is only subconsciously witnessing one of the most crucial turning points in America, and is also completely passive to it affecting everything around him, until it literally burns his life to the ground. And it's only at the end of his life, when he is allowed to view everything from above, when he finally accepts the existential qualities of it all, he is at peace with the cruelty of time. Another Capricorn attribute is that they may come off as melancholic and cold, even miserable sometimes, because of their overtly realistic view towards life, but they're actually very deep and emotional people. Capricorns are symbolized by the sea goat, a mythological creature with the body of a goat and a tail of a fish. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. Train Dreams, train is that mechanical, literal, cold part of the Capricorn, while the dreams are literally the dreamy part of them. So the film being both wise and mystical, but literally grounded in earth, is very Capricorn. Train Dreams is also inspired by the ultimate Capricorn, Hayao Miyazaki, and in particular his movie Princess Mononoke. There's a sense of responsibility that Capricorns naturally take upon themselves. It's their state of being. As previously mentioned, the film's character embodies this, but so does its philosophy and its attitude towards nature, time, and human existence. Let's get into some of the critiques of Train Dreams. Some argue that even if the film tries to leave us on a high note, the ending does not deliver its intended message. Instead, it leaves them with unresolved sadness and a sense of pessimism. We previously mentioned this comfort with darkness as a strength for Capricorns, but it can also be a weakness because it's such a prominent theme in a Capricorn's aura. Their earth sign stubbornness makes it hard for them to budge out of this way of thinking, and they expect the worst a little too much. It's okay, Capricorn, you are not alone. What can I say? I personally enjoyed Clint Bentley's Train Dreams, and I look forward to what else he has in store in his career. And I think we all need that Capricorn nihilism, wisdom, and dad perspective in our lives. And now it's time for the last director who made Sentimental Value, and it's Joachim Trier, who is a Pisces. I found someone's review that just explains Pisces energy so well. It feels like a therapy session with a beautiful soundtrack. Therapy session indeed. Pisces are the empaths of the zodiac, symbolized by two fish who swim in opposite directions, representing their dual nature, constantly torn between dreams and reality. Their understanding of these realms, dreams, and depth of emotion is what makes them so easily compassionate, empathetic, and intuitive. Let's get into the film's main themes and how they're Piscean. So fun fact, the film's idea actually emerged after Joachim Trier's family house was put on the market. He wondered what his parents and grandparents went through in their lives, but then thought about the children's perspective on the house they grew up in. The central house became a starting point to take on a more complex topic, a reflection on life and people's expectations. Do you know how Piscean it is of him to get this idea after experiencing all this? I don't know how to explain it, but the girls that get it will get it. Pisces are undeniably connected to the past. They have a unique insight into the collective psyche and can easily understand the pain of humanity very well. Then it's not a coincidence that all of Joachim Trier's films are internal stories about characters figuring out who they are as they go through existential crises, explore topics such as mental illness, suicide, and depression. He opened our hearts to their internal struggles and made us come to revelations about our own families. Hence the early therapy session comment. This is also the magic of Neptune, the planet of creativity and dreams, putting us in emotional and reflective trance. They're essentially the mystics, the drifting dreamers, and also a tinge of cringe, poetic, no one understands me types. But the sensitive approach is why so many people love this movie. It brought out their buried wounds and led them to enlightenment. Sayonara daddy issues. Also a quick shout out, every time a director is inspired by a fellow sign, I will make note of it, and in this case, Joachim Trier is inspired by Mike Leigh, who is also a Pisces. So in conclusion, thank you, Pisces, for bringing out magnificent performances due to your empathetic nature, reminding us of our deeply neglected feelings, and of course, helping us overcome daddy issues. Let's get into some of the critiques of Sentimental Value. Though they're really good at feeling bad for everybody, Pisces are in dire need to connect and to feel as though they belong. These traits don't just apply to the story of sentimental value, but to the characters as well. They struggle with prevalent Piscean issues. They're overly emotional, addicted to sorrow just to feel something, and so stuck in this loop that they form a self-victimizing complex that they love to romanticize. And when I say overtly emotional, I'm not exaggerating. And this is coming from a Cancer. And this is the true Pisces weakness. They're a bit addicted to melancholy. I would say the perfect example of this would be Kurt Cobain. They would rather marinate in a pit of self-despair than have any feelings at all. What can I say? We all feel different about certain things. Some people were able to connect with Trier's Piscean quiet, contemplative form of storytelling and felt seen by his exploration of generational trauma, while others found it to be too melancholic, wallowing in its own emotion, and too obvious. But that's what a Pisces is. That's it, folks. See you at the movies. Thank you for joining me for Oscarstrology. I didn't get to see Secret Agent because I was too late to see it in theaters, and Marty Supreme, I don't have the greatest feelings about the Safdie brothers, but my next video is going to be part of my series called Astrology, and I'm going to watch 4 Cancer films made by Cancer directors and dissect each of them and talk about how they exude Cancer energy. And I'm a Cancer myself, so I think this one's going to be really good. Thank you for joining me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you next time.